Good day everyone, I hope you're all doing great. My name is Sai Siddharth and here I'll be doing drawing tutorials and videos related to art. As much as I love creating characters and drawing from my imagination, you just get bored sometimes of drawing the same thing over and over again, and that's exactly what happened to me. So in this video, I thought of doing something a bit different, and by different I mean trying to learn to draw anime. Now, anime isn't really my forte, but you know what? I just thought, why not give it an old-fashioned try? By anime, I don't mean the 21st century anime like Attack on Titan or Pokémon or the very recent ones. By anime, I mean the Studio Ghibli ones like Howl's Moving Castle or My Neighbor Totoro. Mainly because of the simplicity and the really cool watercolor aesthetic. I don't know, I just want to draw those scenes. And what are the drawings, you ask? So the drawings are from the movies Kiki's Delivery Service and My Neighbor Totoro. Let's get started with Kiki's Delivery Service. Here we go. Do you remember the video where I redrew my art and said that I literally failed many times before creating the art that you actually see in the video? Well, this is the epitome of what I meant. The first time I tried, well, I used colors which were very saturated, and the second time I did the exact opposite, unsaturated colors. Looking back onto the drawing now, I guess I was trying to fill up blank spaces in the artwork with what I thought was right rather than what was really there in the artwork. I was just so frustrated at myself, not because I had put the wrong colors, but because I had to sketch it again and again and again. You get it, right? Literally, I take a ton of time sketching the artwork, more than even coloring or inking. But the sketch is done and now comes coloring. I didn't ink the artwork first because I'm using watercolor, and if I had inked it before I had colored, well, the ink lines would not have been visible after the watercolor had dried. I guess I should have painted the backgrounds first and then come to Kiki and the foreground, because while painting the background, the paint just kept on bleeding, and there was a major issue. Sometimes the paint went on the character and I had to remix the colors again and paint over it. It was really a tedious task, but the work is now done. Actually, funny story cut short, I was attending an online class and I had my textbook open as a PDF, and there is something called a draw tool in the PDF, and after the class got over, I tried the pen tool and I created a mountain with a field scenery with a character, and I was like, oh my god, I want to draw anime scenes for some reason, and that has led up to this. After some time of adding some greenery and buildings, I just looked at my artwork and the reference image. I was just thinking and I finally ended up doing it again. So take 2. I did it all over again, but this time using negative space. I ended up with a pretty cool result, but I just wasn't quite liking it, so I did it again. I painted white all over it, and here I was, frustrated at myself, and I just thought perhaps I needed a break. And the next day I came up with a few ideas up my sleeve, but the buildings were magically there and painted. What a surprise. I'm just kidding, I didn't film the part where I painted it. And I think I was also really just wanting to do every building perfectly, just as it was in the image, which I don't think was that good an idea. And I didn't want to make any mistake in front of the camera, and I definitely didn't want to do it all over again. And I just thought I would just switch off the camera, let the mistakes be there. It's okay, I can correct it after it's all done. And my plan worked. Hooray! Right now, just going in and doing some final touches, and the artwork is pretty much done. Sometimes just don't let the perfectionist in you take over. Just enjoy doing the artwork, which I think sums up what I felt after doing. And off to a bad start. I just now realized that I haven't recorded me sketching Totoro and the rest of the artwork. At least I didn't forget to film the entire painting. That would have been really terrible. Anyways, I'm using Ohuhu markers this time though to color in, but only for the characters, mainly because I have perfect tones which match the reference image. Also, when I use alcohol markers, they easily double down the time it would have taken me to paint with acrylics or watercolor. Always when using alcohol markers, start off with the lightest tone and then build up the colors and that way you actually end up with a different hue than that if you use the light tone in the lighter parts and the shadow tone in the dark parts. But there were just simply some colors that I didn't have, especially for the belly of Totoro, so I had to manually paint it using watercolor, and there came the difficulty. Painting the colors and mixing was a bit difficult, but what was even more difficult was getting an even consistency. So I just kept on having to redo it again and again just to get an even consistency. But then came the entire color matching. I mean, like, if this was digital art, it would have been done in a second, but at the same time, there is that really cool feeling that painting on paper gives. The touch of the brush on paper and the physical mixing of colors, and above all, I think the flaws that we get and we do when we do a traditional piece of art, those flaws are what really makes the art stand out. I mean, like, a mistake-free art would pretty much look like a photograph. So even in digital art, having your flaws visible, like not having a perfect blend or really straight lines, raises the art to a whole nother level. Trust me. Now, painting the belly of Totoro was like a one-shot try, cause the first layer of paint is gonna basically dictate the result, and unfortunately I mixed too much water and I didn't wait for it to dry, so I was like adding layer after layer after layer, and I was like, why am I not getting a pretty good and even consistency? So again, I took a break, and day 4. Well, I tried my best and I was pretty happy with the result. Using alcohol markers stops here with the characters. Have you ever noticed that in anime or in cartoons, the backgrounds look like they were done using watercolor or some paint? Here is a fun fact which even I came to know of just like when I'm doing this video. Every background in Studio Ghibli films were done on paper and then merged into animation onto the computer. Like, each background takes approximately like 6 hours to do, and just imagine the number of scenes there are in a movie. Like, that is absolutely mind-blowing. Now, for the background, I thought of going down the route of watercolor and acrylic paint. I used acrylic paint to get a solid black base color, cause it takes like forever to do it using watercolor. The thing that is really cool about acrylic paint or watercolor is the ability to paint over. If I was using alcohol markers, I would have had just one go at this to add the black tone while adding trees, etc., and then adding shading to it. But while using watercolor / paint, we can layer on top and get some really nice gradient / texture. With all that said and done, the artwork looks pretty simple and doesn't pop as much. Well, let's just fix that with a few shadows and raindrops. There is a saying, less is more. Or was it more is less? That makes no sense. Okay, what I'm trying to say is, the thing that makes these artworks stand out is the simplicity of the art. Weirdly, like, I would straight up say that this is one of the best artworks that I have done. Over both of these artworks, I love the Totoro artwork. Again, it's not hard to do, it's pretty easy, but it's really that simplicity. It's hard to explain. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. I want to thank you so much for watching till the end. Don't forget to do the 3 things that every YouTuber asks. Like, share, subscribe. But that's it for this video. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.